This is Jodi Anoorabh, and today we're going to talk about the things we've learned in our two-stage relationship over these 7 years.
Well, we have learned so many things, which is...
Out of that, like 5 we're going to share.
Let's talk about it.
Number 1.
I think the number 1 point is change. Change is inevitable. So there are things around the world where people say, that I don't change for a person, in this relationship, I want to be me. But the thing is that you can never be me, right? Even if you are growing old, you are not the same person as you were, let's say, 5 years back, right? So your choices will change, your interests will change, and everything will change, right? And how can you be the same person when you are in a relationship, right? Yeah, I think that is one thing which we have learned that.
I think it's over the years. You spend time. When you're single, you spend time with yourself. And when you're in a relationship, you share that time with that other person. And majorly, like, whenever you're in a relationship, you spend a little bit more time with that other person only.
My point is like, there will be change in yourself. Like, that's gonna happen anyway, right? Because when you are with someone, then you are seeing that person's habit, right? You're gonna like some of it, not like some of it, and the things which you're gonna like about that person, probably you will start doing that yourself, and you don't even realize. You don't even realize that you have become the other person in some time, right?
Right. Like, it's bullshit to say that I have not changed in the relationship or whatever. It's according to us, because something or the other will change in you. Because I think, for example, with us, it is like he has started to going gym often because I am very particular about going to gym.
That, okay.
Gym? No. So I have started to kind of think about organizing stuff in my life in general, like trying to be a little more organized.
That is because of me, for sure.
That is where I'm coming to. So that is because of him, because I see him being organized. And there are bad habits which we kind of,
like
eating unhealthy.
Nani? You used to eat full cornerstone ka, full
that is because
DBC,
that is after I met you.
Then full McD ka,
that is after
dunya,
I met
KFC
you.
and everything, all that junk food.
That is after I met you.
Hypocrisy की भी सीमा होती है.
I think that I don't agree with that part still.
Whatever.
But yeah, there are points where we have started becoming like each other.
Basically change.
Yeah.
Yes.
So change is inevitable, basically.
Yes.
So number 2 is adjustment is inevitable, right? Now this is related to change, right? Because basically you were living alone before that, right? Before in a relationship, right? And now that you are living with a person, you are not yourself 100%. You had 100% of your time, while during that time you probably were watching things.
Oh, sorry, I got completely distracted by the birds. So we're sitting in the terrace in his place, Jabalpur. So it's very distracting because there are a lot of birds and there's sunset happening. So yeah. So go on, yes.
Yeah. So I was just saying that you are now with another person, and that person will have her
different habits
his
and
own
different
interest and lifestyle and everything, and you will have your own, and you might like some of it, you might not like some of it, and especially in the beginning of it, so you will just try to act like it's okay, it's all fine, but only after a few years you'll start to say, I don't like this habit of yours, please change that, and all those things, right?
है ना relationship.
But then there will be some habit, even if you say that I don't like that, but that person wants to do that because that person loves that habit, right? And just don't want to give up. Then either you just break up or you adjust with that, right? There are only 2 options, right?
Yep. Yeah, I think it depends on the kind of a thing you're adjusting to. I mean, it depends how small or a big of a thing and important and not important that is. But I think the point is, like, there would be some kind of adjustment in different scales. Like, I think you're waking up and going to bed schedules. A lot of time I want the lights on in the bed, like when I go to bed. And sometimes he adjusts because for me it's important. Like, it's small things, but he was not used to that. Like,
I'm still not used to this.
Yeah.
साला ये दुख का खत्म नहीं होता बे.
I think there'll be a lot of small things, sometimes big things. There might be some cases where you would have to adjust with a behavior or the lifestyle element or whatever. But ultimately, it boils down to whether you want to make this adjustment in your life for that person or not.
But if you are in a relationship, my point is, our learning is that it is inevitable. You are not the same person, right? You cannot like the same things. There will be things which
there is no, you are not my clone, no,
Exactly.
to have the same behavior. Obviously, I'll adjust in some. So that's the point. So there will be adjustment if you are stepping into a relationship, whatever it is, right? How big and how small it be, but it will be there.
Yeah.
Point number 3. Ups and downs will be there, but do not forget your ups when there is a down. So I don't know why this sounds like a formula. So when you're in a fight, when you get into a fight, so there obviously fight is not fancy, right? Fight is not about positive things all around. Fight will ultimately boils down to negative things and you going into a dark space and thinking bad about that other person, feeling bad yourself and blah 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 blah. But oftentimes what happens is like what we have learned is like
Same like for example, na, like when you hold a glass, right? Like if you hold it for like 5 seconds, it's not that painful. But then if you keep holding it, like keep your hand like this for longer and longer, it just becomes harder and harder, right? So it's just like that. Like if you think about those bad vibes, like when you're in a fight, if you think of those negative thoughts, it just keeps on piling up, and then it just gets worse. Like when you keep thinking about those things, and so basically you should not drag. That's what we have learned.
You should not drag,
and also
please
think of
remember
the positive sides,
Yes,
because
please.
those are very important.
Yes.
Because when you think of those positive sides, you remember ki yaar, like this. Because then you're comparing apples to apples, you can say like that, right? Because you are in a relationship, you are thinking of the good times which you guys had, and then those bad times which you guys had, right? So then when you compare that, then you think like this is far greater than this, right? And obviously there will be a relationship which is actually bad, right? That you can realize.
That
but
I
what
think
we have-
everybody can
yeah.
say, but do not forget your like 100,000 good times you had each other, and in a lot of your ups and downs. Do not let that negative moment kind of make you forget all those good moments, positive moments in your life, and have that bad impact or that bad of a fight. So I think that is something which you have learned after fighting for for 7 years and a lot of times. So yes.
It's a still ongoing process, I would say. And what we have learned is like feeling grateful and practicing that on a daily basis helps in general. Like this is about in life, not just about relationship. About in general life, like being grateful.
Point number 4 is communication is important, necessary
To resolve any fight.
Yes.
It's not just about communication, it's basically drilling down to the root cause of the fight, right? Because what we have realized over the years, as we learn about each other more and more with time, that the fight which has happened because of something is actually not the real cause of that fight, right? It's something else which has been bothering the other person, and that has just come out to the other person in some other ways, right? That most of the time that happens, right?
And the scenario might be different for different people also, but basically, like I think what we've seen is we kind of sit down and talk about things, various things, which is affecting our moods in different times, and which is causing, like, kabhi mood off ho jata hai, like, and because of that you stay upset, and then that would cause some fight. So, but when we communicate, we'll know, okay, because of that, my whole mood was upset, and that led to this fight and stuff like that. Most of the time, what is like, I think we avoid having that conversation itself. You think, okay, this is that one scenario which is causing the fight, and you would not think about the whole thing, the root cause which is for it, and that would definitely cause another fight in future
Correct.
if you don't talk about.
So just to add on that, so basically it's not about just being sorry of this fight, right? This is also something which we always, even when we are fighting and if that person is saying sorry, we say we don't need your sorry, right? Like why did
I
you
do not accept, like in a fight, if he apologizes within 10 minutes, I'm like, not required.
Same way.
Yes. So that is the point, right? Like I think it's a good escape for anybody to just say sorry and just move on, because okay, who wants to like spoil their half a day or whole day or whole night just fighting about something or talking to that other person, knowing or understanding his or her feelings, right?
Right.
So nobody wants to spend so much time. Things in general, which I opened up to him and like, you know, I think that's why like we mostly know each other. Like if we are saying something of which we are feeling something, we would know that, you know, there is something wrong. So we have come to that stage of the life mein without even telling each other that we're upset. We know that, you know, something is wrong. That because we spoke about things so much in past 7 years.
ठीक है, तो इतना अच्छा एग्जांपल नहीं दिया, बट आई थिंक सिंपल एग्जांपल वुड बी लाइक आई वुड से कि like many times what happened like this, if I left the towel on the bed, right, if it's a wet towel, and she will be upset because of that, which is normal, but sometimes she is just pissed and like making a big fuss about that, which is definitely not required, and that is when you know that is not the real reason, because of something else. You need to know what exactly is bothering the other person, right?
Yeah,
it's
just
not
communicate.
it's not just about that you pick up the towel and say sorry and it's done, because that was not the real problem. Could be
Right?
It can be just
so
that.
Always ask, communicate and talk to each other about each other's feelings. Spend time with each other, make efforts. Yeah, cool. That's what we'll do. Fifth point,
Last but not the least is having me time, like in a relationship, right? Especially during pandemic when we were living together 24/7. That
we
was
were
the first,
supposed to, right? We were married.
as in as in you are not going to office and having your own me time like that, and you are going to office and then meeting like that, like you are 24/7 literally in the home, right? That was the first time we were together, right? Like that.
On your shoulders.
Yeah. So that's when we realized that me time is important.
I think we were relatively good. in pandemic.
on what relatable?
I think I heard a lot of couples fighting in pandemic. But I think we were not fighting because we had a common interest also, which is making videos. हाँ? किसमें?
अरे बेट में
क्या हुआ? हार गई क्या?
तुझे 100 रुपए मिल रहे हैं।
तो जीत गई।
जीत गए? ओ इसलिए पटाखे फट रहे? इंटर जीत गया। यस, 100 रुपए के नहीं थे, 1000 के थे। कहाँ गए वो?
And in general, especially with us right now, we have realized that we need this more because what we are doing right now is together. Everything is together right now. We are full time into Jodi Anoorabh thing, and we are drinking, eating, sleeping Jodi Anoorabh, right? We are talking about this all the time.
All the time,
like
yes.
what next to make, what all to do. So what we have realized, like sometimes it becomes overwhelming thinking about these things. But we have started doing like specific work ownership for each other.
Yes.
So that even though we are working for Jodi Anoorabh thing, but this task is definitely owned by me. This task is definitely 100% owned by her. So I don't interfere her work. She won't interfere my work. So that is like your me space. Also, you're working at your own thing.
Yes.
That is how we have like.
So we keep project for each other separately, which he will work on for himself. I'll work on myself. What was that me time thing which you kind of had when we were not working together? When we were like,
I think that during that time we didn't have to think about it because that was automatic, right? Like when you are going to office, you many times go out with office colleagues and you're working at the office things, and that is your me time in general, right?
Yes.
So we never had to really think about that because we were doing that by default, by the design of this world.
Yes. Cool. So I think, I think that is about it. So have something for yourself. Like, you know, don't be just like in the relationship only and do everything together, but have some things for ourselves also.
Yeah, that is important.
Which we would do individually as well. So that is also which we have learnt in this 7 years relationship of ours.
Cool.
So let's go celebrate India's win now. Bye-bye.
Cheers, bye.